Hi everyone, let's have a look at a bit of Navisworks. I had an opportunity this last week to teach a Navisworks Essentials course from a textbook that I haven't taught from before. I was very impressed with it. And something struck me with regards to be able to find items and the way in which the files are structured. So for those of you that don't know, Navisworks can handle many files. I think it's something like 60 or 70 different sorts of files that it can handle. Just if you drop this down, you can see immediately that everything from CATIA, point clouds, Parasolid, SAT files, step files, SolidWorks files, OBJ files, anything that you can essentially think of is available for appending within Navisworks. Navisworks, of course, interprets the files, somehow the geometry and some of the metadata. And a great advantage of Navisworks is that you can link that back into Revit as a coordination model. But a large part of the workflow within Navisworks, especially with regards to the sets and the search sets that you use to search your models, will have to do with your codes that are applied, whether that's Uniformat, Unicode, or whatever code you're using to classify your building elements so that you can program them into a timeliner. And notice how, well, Navisworks is Autodesk software, but it works particularly well with Revit in the sense that the selection is done per floor. And if you know how Revit is put together, it would take your walls, for instance, and model them from the first floor to the second floor. And there you can see all the walls that were modeled like that. So it's quite easy to select the relevant elements on that level, say, as opposed to on the second level. And whichever Revit files you bring in are going to be structured in the same way. So in Navisworks, really one would see that as structured data, or data that was structured in a specific way, whether it be from the architectural, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, structural, whatever discipline we are talking about, that will be correctly or similarly arranged. However, this file over here is an inventor file, also Autodesk software. But notice how it looks a lot stranger. And if we zoom into this element, it is in fact a error handling unit or a air conditioning unit. But notice how it is not nearly as, or it's not, its structure is very far away, removed from what a Revit file would be, looking more at what is the structure of the assembly of that inventor file. Going further, we can look at the site layout, where the Civil 3D file is now more layer based because it's more of an AutoCAD. It's more of an AutoCAD file. And you've not only got lines, your corridors and your lines and your stations that are listed over here, but there there you can see the topo. That's the existing ground. If we hide that, and that is the composite ground level. So whatever file types you're going to use, because you're going to be using these files for quantification later on, I would recommend that you have a look in Navisworks. If you are going to be using Navisworks for clash detection, for quantification, timelining, animation, I would at least look at the BIM protocol and upload or append the file types that you plan on including in your BIM model so that you can get an idea for what you're going to be dealing with. I'm a particular fan of Revit. I'm a Revit junkie. So I would say that if you want to have a workflow that works very nicely, specifying Revit across the project is not a bad idea, but you'll probably find that you're going to get involved in projects where your structural guys are using some other structural platform, and similarly with your mechanical guys and your plumbing guys, they might be using MicroStation or ArchiCAD or Tekla or Nemetschek, any one of those other ones. For me personally, it would be an easy matter if I was the person putting together the BIM execution plan and I had the option. I would just tell everybody to use Revit, because then my job would be easier and I know that the structured data would be consistent, so I wouldn't have to handle all the exceptions from the different file types going in. But that is something to keep in mind as a BIM manager or as a consultant when you are creating a BIM execution plan in response to the employer's information request, that it's one of the levels of understanding that you have that might make the project work a lot more smoothly or easily, just from a downstream perspective as opposed to just a design and a coordination perspective. But looking at how the data is going to be managed further on within the process, and understanding first of all how the software that's going to allow you to create the downstream workflows are going to interpret the files that you put into it, into the federal model. That's going to be fantastic, just to have an understanding of that initially, and to say, right, based on what I can see here, we can maybe accept these file types, but that other file type is going to cause me a headache. There's something for you to consider. I thought I'd highlight that, and contact us here at Micrographics if you need advice on that. And for the rest of it, do have a look at Autodesk Navisworks Manage 2022. It's a great platform. You can do an enormous amount with that within your BIM flow, clash detection, quantification, simulation. There's so much that you can do with this platform, and it's just going to take a bit of work on your side, I think on everybody's side, just to understand the structure of the files and how we deal with them within an actual clash detection. Until next time, have a great week.